What's up, guys? Welcome to today's episode on the Playmaker podcast. I've got a super special guest, one of my longtime best friends from Woodford County back in middle school, Mr. Dwayne Depp. D, what's up?
What's going on? Thank you for having me on here.
Welcome. I am so excited for today because you are a rock star and have been since I met you in middle school. When did we actually meet? Do you remember?
So probably around seventh grade.
When basketball really picked up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Man, well, since then, we, graduated high school together and have clearly stayed in touch through college, post college, all the things. You obviously hold a very special part in my life. So I'm literally so excited for this episode. This is going to be so fun.
Mhm.
So why don't you go ahead and just introduce us and tell us who is D Depp?
I am basically a lot of things, pretty much a jack of all trades. I just graduated from the University of Louisville last year in 2021. I ran track there. I got into personal training. I got to help run a bodybuilding gym, built up a huge clientele, and then I got into modeling and acting. Got to do a couple movies, like indie films, a lot of big commercials for like UK, a couple banks. After that, graduated, started working at a summer camp again, got to run it, the boy side, ended up teaching as a paraprofessional for a year, which I loved. That was amazing. Ended up starting my candle business, soy candle business, all handcrafted, hand poured by me, which
Look what
is
I've
probably
got right
there,
here, burning in my office.
there we go.
I've got vanilla bourbon and it is so good. I'm obsessed.
I am too, honestly. Yeah, I'm really happy about that just because I get, my alone time when I make them. I can watch a movie or just chill and sit down because I'm so busy. And I also coach the middle school track and field and football team, Woodford County. It's my second year. And, last year we won the regional championship, the district championship. We were state runner-ups. We had a really successful year. And then now I'm about to start grad school in the next 2 weeks again, play football. So, like, I'm super busy a lot, but I love being busy. It keeps me on my toes and it keeps me I feel just a lot better about me when I'm constantly doing things. So, I really enjoy
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You always have had your hand in all sorts of different jars of doing all sorts of different things. And you do that so well. What are you going to get your master's in?
Sports management.
Okay, cool. What's the end goal?
My end goal is I want to be a public speaker, like motivational speaker. That's my end goal, which sports management is kind of getting my foot in the door to be around more people and, kids, especially like child development. That's what I really care about.
Yeah.
I've gotten to speak at, I think, with 3 different schools and 4 different events total in the last like year and a half, just in front of pretty big crowds, like a couple graduations and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully elevating in that area because that's just really, I feel like that's where I would excel at the most and where I would be happy at is
Mm-hmm.
other people and telling them about my mistakes, how I overcame them, and just the ways of life from my own experiences.
Yeah. Since the time I met you, you have stood out to me because one, you're the kind of person that can be friends with anybody. Like,
Mhm.
it does not matter. Like, D was the guy through school that he'd had, like, obviously he had his close friend group, but he was also the one that was involved with literally every other group you can think of because he just loves people so well. And I think I got to see more from the inside because of how close we were, of like how well you loved and motivated our friends that needed someone to kind of kick them in the tail and like be like, come on, you're better than this. You can do more, and really push people. But you push people in such a loving way because you really did see their potential. Where does that come from?
I honestly don't know exactly where that comes from, but I just remember my Aunt Rose, she basically kind of raised me a lot, like my first 13 years of life. And she really like instilled in me, like you're special, you're a leader, you're not a follower, you need to do this, you need to do
Yeah.
that. God rest her soul. And like she really instilled that in me like since I was probably like 2 or 3 years old. And there were a lot of times where the minute I would leave her house and go run down the street to play, like I would forget everything she said and I make the worst decisions ever. But
Mm-hmm.
especially like after my sophomore year of college, I really kind of honed in on what she said and like thought about me and like the person I should be, not the person that society wants me to be or what I fell into. That's really helped me just kind of become that leader. And I never even realized how much of a leader I was, especially like middle school, high school, because I obviously made a lot of bad decisions. I'm sure everybody knows, but really like, be proud of myself for overcoming that and being who I'm supposed to be, and stepping into that role and slowly climbing the ladder of that. But I'll probably say it comes really from her, my parents too. Yeah, and just seeing a lot of, I wouldn't say, I don't know, because I didn't really look up to anybody, growing up. I can't really say I know because I just didn't really look up to anybody who was really a good influence. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
good. Well, she spoke life over you and into your life, and that's a big deal. Honestly, kind of speaking into an existence of even if you weren't a leader, like she was like, no, you are, and to the point that like she was going to believe it until you believed it, you know?
Right.
That's awesome. So not only are you a leader, but you have got a massive entrepreneurial spirit. You have literally dabbled in so many things that you touched on earlier. But from being an athlete and like already juggling that with school and everything to your acting, your modeling, the physical training, like growing that business, your social media presence, like that takes time. The candle making, and there's probably even more that I don't even know of. But like where does this entrepreneurial spirit come from?
I'm just one of those people where if I wake up and I want to do something, like no matter what it is, like I just really truly believe I can do that, and like I would do it, like no hesitation.
Yeah.
I won't think twice. I won't ask anybody like their opinion. I will literally just do it, and that's always worked for me. My parents always tell me like you're capable of anything, and like I try to tell a lot of people that too. Like when I talk to them, like we're all capable of anything, and if I've never believed anything else about myself, that's one thing I do believe. So like I
Yeah.
really try to act on that, almost impulsively, but everything's worked out so far. So
Totally. That's one of the things that I really do admire about you. You don't sit around and wait for things to happen. Like
mm,
you make them happen. If you see it and you have a vision for it, like you just make it happen. How do you do that?
I just genuinely believe like so. For example, my candle business, I was trying to be cheap and I make candles for Christmas for my mom, my dad, my stepmom, and stepdad. So I bought a 4-pack off Amazon for like $28. Made them, and I called a couple people, and they were like, "How'd you make them smell good? Like I've failed so many times of doing this," and I was just like, "I don't know. I was just trying to save money for Christmas." And so I
Yeah.
ended up buying another pack, made another four, so I had 8 total. I sold 4, and people actually bought them. So then I was just like, you know what? Why not? So I went on Kentucky Business One Stop. I got my LLC, got registered as a Kentucky business. I filled out all my tax forms. I came up with the name, and I just started. I mean, literally within a week, I spent probably that month of January. I probably spent a good 36 hours a week just on YouTube looking up candle making stuff and chemistry, just studying chemistry. Even though I would be at work studying chemistry like all day, I would go to practice, come home, study chemistry, and then I just went full fledged with it and it ended up working out really well. And I don't know how really, it went that smooth, but it has. It's amazing.
You just got obsessed and then just went for it, right? I
Right.
think that's the thing that you have to do in the entrepreneurial world. If you want to do something and be successful at it, you have to be obsessed with it and just go
Mhm.
for it. And then, with your just reputation and the character that people know of you already, you were already a trustworthy person because you had already like just built that persona for yourself because of who you are. And so people were eager to support Mr. D's candle company, right?
Yes, I agree. That is one thing. Like I never really realized like the light I have, or why people are so drawn to me. So when I was training in Louisville, I was in Oldham County actually, and it's like a predominantly white area. I'm this new trainer. I'm younger than everybody, and I mean like I made some of the best friends like ever there.
Mm-hmm.
We're totally different demographics, different backgrounds. I just fit in so well, and then I could go back in the city of Louisville and fit in, and then like just really anywhere, especially with the kids there. I was even in like Carrollton and Trigg County, Henry County, like some rural areas,
Mm-hmm.
Estill County. I don't know, everybody like really just accepted me, and it made me feel really well, but also kind of made me realize what type of person I truly am when I'm just being myself. So
Yeah. Yeah. You are genuinely and authentically yourself, and people love that version of you. Right.
mhm,
And I think that's one of the reasons is because it's not fake.
right.
You're really confident. Like you're a really confident person. How do you think you became so confident? Like, where does that come from?
Definitely my parents and my aunt Rose, but more than anything, like we just talked about, like when I'm being myself and I'm not thinking and I'm just having fun,
Mm-hmm.
I am very confident. And you know how the brain works. We have the good brain, the bad brain. Once the bad brain kicks in, I'm not confident. I overthink. I second guess everything. But that's why I just try to kind of find ways to get back to myself, which is why I like making candles because it's like a zen. I spend all day around
Mm-hmm.
people. I get to go make candles, sit down, I don't have to talk, I can listen to music,
Yeah.
kind of get back in my own zone, So
Yeah. So you're going to play football at Midway. You were already a rock star athlete in high school. You went on to break a record in Louisville's track. What was that? You broke what record did you break freshman
it was
year?
a 200-meter dash record. One of my best friends from there ended up breaking it the same day. The only thing was I was a walk-on, so like I walked on as the slowest person on the team. And I don't even think people in high school realized when I signed my letter of intent that day, I signed a blank piece of paper, which I don't think anybody ever realized. It was just the fact that
I didn't know that.
right. U of L was the only school who told me they didn't think I'd be good enough to make the team. So I had 11 or 4, I think 11 through 14 scholarships out of high school. Chose U of L, one, because I was always a Louisville fan, but two, they were the school who really like challenged me. Like hearing that, oh, we'll see if you're good enough to make the practice team, especially in
Mhm.
track and field, 'cause it's not really a practice team. That was kind of like a slap in the face. But I took it with like a grain of salt, a good positive attitude, and went and worked hard and ended up, excelling really well. It was just a great experience, if anything. It was a really great experience.
That is your one character flaw. You are a Louisville fan, always have been. You just cling to that. I will cling to the big blue till the day I die. But I love you anyway. So, what was it like being a D1 athlete?
It was actually really interesting, and I'm so glad that I went that route, especially being a walk on, because I really learned a lot of valuable lessons, especially about a lot of people out of high school think you have to go D1 or like you're a bust, and that was definitely my mentality, even though I could have went to other D1 schools, but I feel like Louisville was one of the bigger schools. So once I went there, it was more about proving myself, and I don't mean just on the track, like it's a new city, new environment, so like everybody wants to be tough, everybody wants to be like the cool guy, the tough guy. And I felt like I was outside of track, I was more of that. But what I really enjoyed was when I went to track, there was one guy in particular, his name was Josh Hall. He was a senior when I was a freshman. He really took me in as a freshman, and especially me being the slowest on the team, the sprint team at the time. And I remember we would do like 1,000 jump ropes after practice, and we would practice for like 4 hours of just running bleachers and sled pulls, and like it was awful. But he really taught me how to be myself and just kind of flow, versus trying to be the tough guy, just be authentic, just, like I don't need to show off, I don't need to do this, do that. But it was also hard because I was really trying to figure myself out at that time too, and a lot of things were going on around me. My sophomore through like junior year kind of, I was really reserved and more so I felt like I was became a lot more introverted than what I really was. Like I am an introvert, but
Mm-hmm.
I also can be an extrovert too. But just being so reserved, I didn't really speak to people. I didn't go out of my way. I didn't smile that much. And then by the time I started working at the gym, going into my junior year, senior year, like I started to, be myself again. And then I had to like
Mm-hmm.
literally relearn how to be myself around everybody, not just the people at the gym or, even around my family. So that experience, just from that standpoint, was amazing. But in terms of like getting whatever you want and getting all the attention, like that was obviously cool. You really are like silver spoon there really bad as an athlete, especially when you do anything good. Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool experience. But I will say it's like you're fed with a silver spoon. It is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mhm.
So, why'd you choose Midway? And not only why'd you choose Midway, but why are you going to play football again? And are you like excited beyond belief for that?
I am, and so playing football has been my like dream ever since I was probably 4 years old. Going out of high school, I graduated. I was probably like 120 pounds, soaking wet. So like, I really didn't think. I thought that if I played football, like I was going to get destroyed. And I had a couple. I probably had what 5 or 6 D1 football offers, and I just kept thinking like, one, I'm already not liking it because of certain issues I had with people and things like that. And two, I'm like, I'm 120 pounds. If I go to the SEC where I should almost win, like I'm gonna get destroyed. That's what I just really thought I couldn't gain any weight. I couldn't get stronger. I was extremely fast.
If
And
I
then
remember correctly, your mama didn't want you to go play football in the SEC either, did she?
I don't think so. I was just scared, honestly. Like that's the best way to put it. Vulnerability wise, I was just straight up scared. Terrified. Really, I was terrified more so about what I wouldn't be able to do. Like I was letting failure get in the way before I even gave it a chance. Which I'm glad I kind of did that and I took the route I went because track was so independent that it really taught me how to like count on myself and like overcome things by myself. Like there's no team, there's no 10 other guys on the field. Like it's just me in that lane. I only get one chance. If I mess up, then I gotta wait another week to do it. If I get to travel again,
Mm-hmm.
and so now I'm just kind of in that place where like I just turned 23. I'm still young, I'm fast, I'm strong, and I just want to give myself at least a chance. I don't want to be 35 years old like a lot of people we see and know who are like, if I would have done this, I would have, or I wish I would have done this. I don't want to live my life like that whatsoever. It's just really the opportunity for me to at least go and have fun and to also lead like guys that are younger than me or my age. And really
Mhm.
just, yes, there's also like in the back of my brain, I'm like, okay, maybe if I do semester here and it goes well, I can transfer back to D1 or D2. But even if I play one game and, something horribly wrong happens, not manifesting that, but, I at least can say I did it. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the theme of my life, like to be 23 and to, I got to go play, run track. I'm going to go play football. I got to run a gym. I got to be in a movie. I got to be on a lot of TV shows, a lot of commercials. I got to write an article for the National Ocean Conservancy. I won Kentucky Essay of the Year. I had a 4.0. I got to graduate with this. I got to do this, go here, run in Australia, go here. Like, I've already got to live a great life already, like
Mhm.
already the last 7 years. So that's just what I'm really looking forward to. But I am so excited. I'm actually going to sign my letter of intent once we get done with this. So I'm
That's
super excited.
awesome. That is so exciting. It's honestly hilarious to hear you say, like, I was the slowest on the team, I wasn't that fast, when, like, our whole town knew that Depp, you were number 3, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah, number 3, like, speed demon, like, he was so fast, so it's just, like, hilarious to him, like, "No, not the Depp I knew, like, he's so fast, that's crazy." That's so exciting. So you have this mindset that is uncommon of when well, I'm backtracking to Louisville, so when they basically, like, were saying, like, "You're not good enough, but, like, here's, like, we'll see if you can, like, measure up," whatever. A
Hmm.
lot of people in our day and age, especially our generation, would take on this like woe is me mentality and just let that defeat them basically. But not you. You took that as a challenge. Just walk me through your thought process and how you've grown that muscle to be able to react in that way.
I can tell you the exact day. I remember so during high school, I had to do a lot of my own recruiting. Like my junior year, I had like UK football, like North Carolina, like Butler, Indiana, stuff like that. But I'm going into my senior year, I had shoulder surgery and I hyperextended my knee. So I was really, scared to death because I had surgery in December. Indoor track started in February, January, really. So I didn't get to run until March, and that was like the first meet. And I also had a messed up knee, so I was just kind of, scared to death. So I put a YouTube clip together of all my track races. My stepdad helped me do it, and I mean, I sent it out to every school you could think of, and I mean, every school contacted me back. Kansas, like I said, North Carolina, Florida, and it wasn't even like they were really interested. It was just, thank you for sending your film. Here's what you should work on. Here's the standards you need to meet to be on our team. Hopefully you get there by the end of the
Mm-hmm.
season. And
Yeah.
Louisville was the only school who responded with, we will see if you're good enough to make our practice team. And the minute I saw that, I knew I was going to Louisville. Like the minute I saw that, I knew I was going to Louisville. And I actually emailed them probably 3 more times in a row. He was just like, yeah, you can walk on, you won't need a sign because it's not a preferred walk on either. It's just, we're just going to give you a chance to make the practice team. So I remember that day when we signed, I had so many people there. I never said nothing about the blank piece of paper because I wanted it to, be a story for the future. So I got my blank piece of paper, I signed, and then I just kept thinking, like they really think I'm not capable. I know everybody else has had training from pro athletes and great coaches, and not knocking on any coach from Woodford County, but I just knew that a lot of people were more prepared than I was. But I knew once I came in there, if I knew I was going to work harder than anybody, that was a given. But once I really got in rhythm and started believing in myself, then it would work out for the better. And it ended up doing that. And actually, my freshman year indoor season, I ended up coming almost dead last in every single meet because I just couldn't get the hang of it. Then outdoor season comes around, first home meet, break school record, time keeps dropping every meet. And to make it not sound like it was perfect, at ACCs that year, I did really well in every event, but the 100, I did horrible. I choked in, did bad. I got like fourth to last, but I still got offered a scholarship right after that. So like just coming in and literally being told, we'll see if you can make the practice team. And, I kind of felt like I was below everybody else, honestly. But then once I started running and beating other people in practice, and then especially like going into my sophomore year, I realized like I'm the man. Like that's just how I thought. I was like, there's nobody. That's just how, I mean, honestly, like I'm the man. Can't nobody beat me. I'm stronger, I'm faster. and I really like lived by that, and I ended up getting hurt, which really messed with me mentally. But I mean, I still got to show people that, especially myself more than anybody, that I'm totally capable, and I had so much more room to improve, and I got to say I did that.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Hmm.
That's so cool. You crack me up. I'm the man. And I love that the confidence behind you truly believe that. Like, what would our world look like if people really could take that confidence and like just step into their God given abilities and talents and just things that they're called to do, they're called to conquer? Like, that would be incredible.
Exactly. I really, that's why I like child development so much, because like teaching, coaching, 'cause I really want kids. I just remember being a kid and I would have so many people come up to me and say like, "Hey young man, I don't know you, but I see the light in you, blah, blah, blah." And I'm not saying that every kid will receive that, but I want to be the guy who can tell majority of the kids I see who have even the slightest bit of potential, like, "Hey, you have potential, work on it.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't know how to work on it, I'll help you work on it." I never knew how to work on it until I was like 22 years old. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just what I want to do, and it's just a very interesting dynamic, because if we all thought like that, then it would be a totally different world. But it's really funny because just talking to people, it's almost like I feel weird talking like that around people because other people don't think like that. It's
It is. It's
never
an
me thinking.
uncommon mentality.
Right, and it's never me thinking I'm better than the next man or nothing, but, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
down to it, I believe in myself that I can do anything, like, I'm smart enough, I'm capable enough. It is hard sometimes speaking like that around other people because other people look at me weird, or they, like, probably think dialing too much into myself, something like that, along the lines of that, when in reality, that's how we're all supposed to talk. That's how you become successful. That's how you really elevate your life. Try to not push that on people, but, when I'm talking, I try to, like, let people know, like, "Hey, you gotta talk like you're capable to be capable."
Right. Yeah.
Mhm,
Keep saying it and speaking it into existence until it really is reality. Yeah.
mhm,
So take me to the scene of I am sitting in a crowd that you are coming to speak to. I'm a young
mhm,
person that maybe is not motivated. I don't know how to take action, or I've got all the cards, stacked up against me, and I'm just like, woe is me.
mhm.
What is your message to that person?
That now I'm gonna take this from J. Cole. There's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. I remember the first time I heard that in 2016, and like I believed it, and then there like 2, 3 weeks later, something bad would happen, and I kind of sink a little bit. Then I believed it again, and then really just like this is your life, and that you can't fall into like what you see on social media and what you see from other people, because the minute you like worry about the next person doing this and that, that's the minute when you start slipping up, you start making mistakes. You're not
Mm-hmm.
holding yourself accountable. Like when I go to speak, I try to tell kids like, and I really get super happy when I speak to them because I end up telling them like I love them like 10,000 times, but like that's just the truth. And there's even kids I don't know, but I mean like because it's just so much light, and I really believe that they can hear it in my voice when I talk and see it in my face that like, hey, you are the light. Like, hey, maybe I do have like a little potential. Maybe like this guy who doesn't even know
Mm-hmm.
me, he's this and that. He thinks I can even do this, and maybe I am capable of this. And I really just try to instill in them that, hey, like, look how far you made it right here. Maybe you thought you were gonna fail your test on Thursday, and then Friday comes, you got 99%. Something like even something small is really just something to look back on, and kind of fulfill yourself for the moment and to build off of.
Mm-hmm.
And I really try to just instill that in anybody I talk to, even like friends. And that's the other thing. I'm really close with a lot of people who are like 20 years older than me, which is really different. But I learn a lot from them, and I feel like they can learn a lot from me too. But I love learning, and I try to tell a lot of kids I talk to, listen to older people talk, when they're talking about the right things. Try not to speak as much. The better listener you are, then the better teacher you will be by far. And that's what I've like learned is just
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I really tell kids, sometimes just be quiet, just listen, like pay attention, and like you'll see so much more than you ever will just by talking to people. So I try to do that too when I speak. Like I'll say something, and then like say if the crowd reacts, so they start clapping. I kind of pay attention to the faces in the crowd, like whose eyes lit up, who, and then that's how I
Mm-hmm.
read and go off of that. And there's just so much potential. Like when I speak to people, and I never really know what to say. I just know that when I talk, like I can see the people like tune in and their eyes light up. Same when I coach, I'm talking to certain kids, or like the kid who's struggling in practice. He might be bigger, he might be slower, he might have never played football, ran track, he's not getting the hang of it. And even
Mm-hmm.
just like a
Yeah.
job, or hey, I see you doing this, you're capable.
Mm-hmm.
Probably goes so much farther than what a coach would ever understand, or somebody like me knows. But they're helping me just as much as I'm helping them too. So it's
Yeah,
really interesting dynamic.
that's
Mhm.
awesome. So I want to know how you juggle all of this stuff. Some people would say that you've got too much on your plate. Yet you do it and it looks flawless, it looks effortless. I'm sure that it's not. But
Mhm.
how do you handle all this and why do you push yourself to be able to handle all of this?
I just feel like if God gave me the ability to do all these things, then I don't want to waste it. Which is why I'm going to play football again. Like He made me fast, so I ran track. He made me pretty smart, so I got to write. I wrote a couple books. So I got to write articles that got published by like agencies and nonprofit organizations who have like 100 million followers, like crazy stuff. So I just feel like here's all my talents. I need to use them all somehow. And it is hard because I would literally wake up at 4:50 a.m., go to the gym, meditate, eat breakfast, run, go to work by 7, work from 7 to 6, get off, coach 6 to 8, make candles from 8:30 to who knows when, and then still try to find time for myself. And that's like every single day. It is crazy because I really don't get tired of it. I really don't. It's normal to me. I don't know how I juggle that, to be
Yeah.
honest. I enjoy doing it though. I really enjoy doing
Mhm.
it, if anything. And I guess it's just fun to me, which is probably not fun to the majority, but.
Yeah, but there's a work ethic there that's really admirable. And I love what you said that if God gave me this talent, I don't want to waste it. I think for young people, when, trying to figure out our purpose, having no idea where to go, what to do, start with looking at what are you good at? Like
Hmm.
you knew you were fast. Therefore, what do you do with that? You run. You knew
Yep.
that you enjoyed words. So what do you do with that? You Right. You knew that you had a voice and you had a message to share and you're good at speaking. What do? You speak. Like you find the things that you're good at and you run with it.
And that's my biggest lesson I ever learned in my life, is that when I was a kid, I didn't care about what anybody else thought. I was such a nerd. Like I was always in the books. I was always reading, writing, like writing stories for the class to read. Like I just read all the time, played sports. Like I didn't care what I looked like, how I dressed. And then I went to middle school, everything changed. Went to high school, it got worse. I thought being dumb was being cool. I dumbed myself down a lot, and I just got back into being that smart nerd who likes to read and watch WWE and like be myself again. Like within the last year and a half, that's the one thing I try to tell kids is like, don't lose sight of like what makes you feel like a kid, if anything. Do not ever lose sight of that, because I lost that. And like, I even talked to your mom. I remember seeing her fall break after freshman year of college, and she was like, I was really just so worried about you because I just feel like you really like dumbed yourself down a lot, and we were capable of so many things, and then you just kept like downplaying yourself and falling in with the wrong crowd. And like, I really think about that almost every day because she was so right. And like me now, like looking back at myself, I did that so many times. I had so many people tell me like, "Hey, you're making the wrong decisions." Hey, and I didn't learn after strike 1 or strike 25. But look at me now. Like, seriously though, that's just one thing I always try to take into account when I talk to people, or I'm just reflecting about myself. It's just that like, hey, be that kid again. Like, don't be ashamed to read a book or to be the smartest person in the room or to ask a question. So like my senior year of college, I really tried to sit in the front row every class, and every time I genuinely had a question, I asked it. Every time I knew the answer, I didn't hold it in. I answered it. I didn't care if I answered all 50 questions in class. Like, and I really hope people strive to be like that. Just be you, be authentic, and if you know the answer, say it. If you need help, ask for it. And it is so hard to ask for help, especially like with not just mental health, but just being in a room full of people and you don't want to speak up. But like, I swear that makes life 10 times easier.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And it's the same thing with like if you have the question, someone else probably has it. And if they don't have it, they probably should have it and they need to hear the answer anyway.
Exactly. And I just hope people, aren't afraid to speak up. Because I was for a really long time, and I'm glad I'm not so drawn
Mhm.
into that. I'm really, expanding out and branching out into me as a person.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest thing that you would say to young people today? What's the number one thing they should focus on, or the number one thing, I guess, that you could have told yourself in high school? If you could talk to that person, be like, if I could tell you one thing, this is that thing.
To live in the moment, by far.
Ooh.
That is the number one thing. Because I've really been working on like being in the presence and mindfulness, and Like
Mhm.
I read so much, and like the average brain and mind only spends 3 seconds in the present. So like you might see a shooting star, and you're focusing on it for literally 3 seconds, and then you either think about something from the past or you think about something from the future. And past causes depression, future causes anxiety. Simple as that. And like it's just so crazy that it's literally all right there for us. And like I've just been trying to work on that. Even if my 3 seconds only goes to 3.5 seconds, like that's progress.
Yeah, 1% better.
Hmm.
I love it. That's so good. Oh my gosh, Dee. You're amazing. I want to know how you stay driven and how you stay motivated to keep showing up and putting in the work and just loving and leading the way you do when you don't feel like it.
Honestly, it is really hard because it's hard for me to be around people who I feel like are just like me. And if the people
Hmm.
who are like me, they're always busy too. Like, like Malik, that's like my best friend in the world. Like,
Love that boy.
yeah, yeah, he's always busy doing something, and I'm always busy doing something else too. But it's weird. It's so weird for me because as busy as I am, I always feel like I have so much free time too. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like I could go to work for 12 hours and I still feel like I have a lot of free time. I could go coach for 2 hours and still feel like I have free time. And I don't know how that makes sense, but it really does. I don't know. It's a really interesting thing for me because I don't know how I always feel like I have all the time in the world when in reality, like I'm up almost like 16, 18 hours every single day.
I think because you schedule your priorities and you don't prioritize your schedule.
Yeah. And it's even when I'm talking to people though, like sometimes I'll be talking to my friends and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I just don't feel like doing nothing or I'm tired. And even though I'm saying that, I've still done 10,000 things already, or I'm in the middle of doing something. And, it's kind of weird, ironic that I'll even say that when I'm in the middle of doing something. It's almost like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm in autopilot mode, and I try not to, but it's hard not to, just go through the motions. But I really try to just live in the moment and like make the best of.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so good. And you definitely stand out because of that. I love it. You're still in Woodford County. You're
Right.
still in Kentucky. And
Mhm.
I remember in high school, you and so many of our friends were like, I am getting out of here. This town is too small for me. I'm getting out. And you did for a little bit, but you came back and you're really
Mhm.
invested in the community. You're pouring out and you're doing big things, making big things happen there. But why did you stay? And do you want to still go somewhere else? Is there like an internal pull there?
You're right. And I still feel like, the world was going to catch on to me soon. And, I have a lot more work to do in other places and on the grand scheme of things too. But one thing I learned is I was reading a book. I can't even remember which book it was. I read so much. But it talked about being fruitful where I am before I elevate somewhere else. And I really thought about it like, okay, when I was here in high school, yes, I could have had the biggest impact on everybody, but I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't go about things the way I wanted to do it. And now it's not like I have time to correct those things, but being older and still being here and I have all these connections and opportunities, let me be fruitful while I'm here. Let me build this. Let me help this kid. Let me help myself by doing things to my fullest potential while I'm here. And then I
Mm-hmm.
know there's gonna be opportunity for me to elevate somewhere else. Then once I do all that here, I'll go somewhere else. And that's just my whole thing. Like once I heard be fruitful where you are before you leave, like I really thought about that. Hey, have I been giving my all here? Have I really been invested in myself and the people around me here?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. So let me work on that and then my time's gonna come. And I believe that truly. So, that is one thing that has like really, really like stuck with me. It's almost like it's imprinted on my body. Like I feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that stuck with me, which is why I believe I'm still here. I know the world's gonna catch on soon, so I'm not worried about it. But
Yeah. I
yeah.
love that. The world's gonna catch on soon. Do you
Mhm.
ever find yourself playing the comparison game of where someone else is that's
Oh yeah, by far. I deleted all my social media I think 2 years ago because I was really just so invested in not even what other people were doing, but how fast they were moving. I would see other 20-year-olds at the time who had this, had that. And not everything looks as good as it really is on social media.
right?
That's so true. But I really fell into that and I had to delete all of it. I mean, I hadn't had Snapchat in what, 2, 3 years, no Instagram, no Twitter, no nothing, just Facebook. I don't even really like being on Facebook unless I'm promoting candles, honestly. I really just struggle with that, but I also realize it's such a universal issue too, especially like in the United States, just about the influence social media really has and like what's being
Yeah.
projected out there. Like we have the societal world and then we have like the universal world. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying so hard every day, which is still not easy to just live in with the universe, be one with the universe, and not be one with society. And
Mhm.
it is hard when you're living in the universe and you're around a lot of people who live with just within society because they look at you different. But that's what comes with it. So
I love that. That's so good, D. So, my last question that I ask everyone that comes on the podcast, the
mhm.
Playmaker podcast, is how are you being a playmaker in this current season of your life?
I am taking charge and being a playmaker by, I think, number one, I'm going to play football, and that's something I always wanted to do. And I let so
Yeah.
many people ruin that for me, which is my own fault. And I didn't know any better at the time, but I let so many people influence me to do other things. And now I'm like taking charge and I'm doing something I always wanted to do,
Mhm.
since I could literally remember. And I'm not letting other people's opinions, words, or anything influence me because I'm being confident in what I believe and what I think I'm capable of more than I ever have before. That's me being.
Man, do y'all hear that? That is so good. He is like just all the like personal responsibility that you're taking for all of that is just something that our generation, I think, doesn't do well. We just don't. And that
Mhm.
is such a good quality because, like, no one's coming to save us. No one's like, it's on us. We're the ones that have to make the right plays to change the game, right?
Exactly. And when I talk to a lot of people, they're always kind of like, you need to slow down, like you need to do this, like, and I'm just thinking like, I don't know about you, but I want to elevate, and I know what
Yeah.
I know what I can do, and like I want to do it. Like I still have fun. Like me, Darnell, and Tony, we go out to eat every Friday, and like that's enough fun I need. That's all the laughing I need. Like I
I
laugh
love it.
5, 6 hours straight. I get to go travel. I get to do this and that, and I still work hard. And I try to tell people like, hey, like you can't just work hard for one day then take off. You gotta at least get an
Yeah.
hour and do something like something. So hopefully everybody catches on. Not even just
Yeah.
me, but just the lifestyle in general.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about like there's some people who have the right to have a microphone in your life and then some people just don't have that right. And if we're taking advice from people who are not where we want to go, then we're probably not going to get to where we want to go. Right?
Yep, I try to tell people that all the time.
You gotta be intentional. It literally, you remember that song when we were kids of like, be careful, little eyes, what you see, be careful, little ears, what you hear?
Yep.
Like, that rings true into so many things of
Mhm.
like, well, are you spending your time on social media or are you spending your time in books bettering yourself? Are you listening to voices that are trying to hold you back because they're not there? Or even maybe they're not even trying to hold you back, but they simply don't have the knowledge and expertise to get you to that next level because they're not there themselves? Or are you surrounding yourself by people that are exactly where you want to be or are on the way and you're going to link arms with them and run that way? Like, that is huge.
Yeah, I 110% agree with exactly everything you just said because I'm so big on that too. It's like extremely so big on that, especially surrounding myself with the right people. Sometimes I feel like I can't find the right people all the time, so I just stick to myself. Or like for me, sometimes being around the right people is just people who don't really do much. They just kind of work hard, go home, chill, and like
Mhm.
better themselves. And like that's where I fit in the most. That's what I'm starting to learn about myself. Like I don't have to go do XYZ to feel amazing.
Mhm.
Like sometimes just sitting around, hanging out, after a long day and like bettering myself or talking about aliens or
Yeah.
like why they think this way and why they think that way. It's like that's like Zen to me.
I love it. Dee, you are awesome. Thank you for coming on and spending this time and investing just this wisdom into this time. I'm so excited for people to hear this.
Yeah, thank you
Um,
for
do you have a website slash where can people connect with you? How can they find you in the world?
MrD'sCandleCompany.com is my candle website. If you Google my name, Dwayne D. Depp, you'll probably see like track highlights, maybe football highlights from high school, and then like my IMDb actor database website. Besides that, I have a YouTube channel actually, Dwayne D. Depp on YouTube, and that's where I need to start posting again. I just posted a video yesterday. I really need to get back to that. I plan on doing that. So if not, then I don't know. If you see me, you just see me, I guess.
And Facebook. You're on Facebook.
Correct. Yeah, that's true. Facebook too. I'll be around. Really don't like being seen though, either. To be honest, like I love talking to people when it's time to talk, but I really just don't like being seen. So
Okay, any last nuggets of knowledge you want to drop on us before we call it quits for today?
nope. Just continue to listen, and I swear you will learn 10,000 things more. by listening and talking.
That's
That's
so good, D. That's so good. Well, thank you again so much for being on today. Y'all, you know what we always say here. The goal is not to be perfect, it's to be
Mhm.
better.
Yep.
So listen to what Dia said today and take that and see like where can you incorporate that into your own life. And whatever you do, just start getting 1% better.
Hmm.
Just one day at a time. I believe in you. D believes in you. So we're going to believe in you until you start to believe in yourself. So go do something today to get 1% better. We'll see you next time.